We were in Seattle visiting my son and 4 grandkids. And I was there for a week. And the night before I was ready to go home, I just knew something wasn't right. On November 19th, I had to be rushed here to AdventHealth Tampa via EMS on oxygen because I could not breathe.
I came to know Mr. Zulli in early December when he was in our COVID ICU, and he was sick with COVID pneumonia and respiratory failure, and he was requiring a lot of oxygen. He was on a BiPAP machine, and when patients are on BiPAP, we're almost really concerned that they may deteriorate and need to be on a ventilator.
In terms of treating Mr. Zulli, we had kind of at that point had been in the throes of COVID for months and had seen what worked and what didn't work. At that juncture, we were giving patients the antiviral medication, remdesivir. They were receiving convalescent plasma. But for the most part, we were treating it, once patients got to his degree, we were treating it according to kind of practice guidelines for acute respiratory distress syndrome, so ARDS.
On the COVID unit, it's easy to feel alone, and it's really important that we don't feel alone. As you are in this big, loud room in a negative pressure room, you don't get to talk to outsiders very often, and everything is very funneled as far as noise goes. So motivation is key, and we do that by assuring him that we do care for him and we're there for him when he needs us.
He was very critical. He was in a very critical condition. He was requiring a lot of oxygen. He was on the BiPAP machine, and he was one of our sickest patients because those are the moments in time where they can either get worse and require to be on a ventilator, or they can do better and continue to be on the BiPAP and require less and less oxygen, which was the case in Mr. Zulli.
I think it just went from, oh, I don't feel good, I just am a little short of breath, to now he's in the intensive care unit and I'm talking to him about if you go on the ventilator, the chances you're going to come off are very slim. So that added even more stress to him. And I think also he felt very isolated from the outside world because he couldn't really talk to his family.
Being a registered nurse, my priority is always safety. And it's not only if the patient's safe, it's also if they feel safe. Most of our conversations that I had with him was surfaced around that. I wanted to make sure that he knew he was safe. So a lot of times I tried to speak about his family, let him know that I was there for him and he wasn't alone going through this.
They were just absolutely the most wonderful people, and nurses and respiratory therapists and doctors I could ever have wanted. They were just so compassionate, so attentive, so on top of every change in my prognosis or in my illness.
It's been challenging. I think there's so much we still don't know about COVID, and we never knew much about COVID. And Mr. Zulli was a good case of how we did everything we can, and it's a miraculous blessing from God that he pulled through and he made it this far. And it's been difficult for us to sit back and know that we've done everything and see some that pull through and see others that don't. So I've learned to be patient and just take it day by day, and always promote positive feedback to the patients and their families in the event that they had a chance to make it through.
It was probably not for about a month before we could get in to see him when they moved him, I don't know from which, out of the COVID ICU. And at that point, we could come in for a little bit of time, which was amazing just to see your person. Really helped me to understand the trials that are going on in the hospitals right now.
But they would come in every 2 hours, lift up the mask, wet my lips, give me a sip of water, or at least moisten my tongue, and make sure that everything was okay. They were just the most compassionate, wonderful professionals ever.
His care here was wonderful, and then they worked with me to get him into the long-term acute care because he just needed more time. It's not that he wasn't recovering, it was just very slow or really tiny steps.
Lou he's so wonderful. He was very, very emotional and very, very thankful to all of us, and just had so many good things to say about, every step along the way through his recovery.
why AdventHealth Tampa. And I've worked at a lot of other hospitals in the Tampa Bay area, and I chose this place in particular because this is where I would want to be treated if I was sick. This is where I would bring my loved ones. And for that reason, I've been working here all this time.
It always makes it kind of feel that you made some sort of a difference in patients like Lou who have come back and you see him walking around and meeting his grandkids for the first time and enjoying life. So that's really what makes it all worth it.